In this exercise, we're going to be discussing creating the base view. By now, you understand that Inventor has some commands that mean exactly what they say, and some commands that mean nothing what they say. And then you have commands that do what they say, but have multiple uses. Base view is one of those commands. Pretty straightforward. Base view creates our base view on our drawing. So to start with, we'll do a standard base view. We'll come up and we'll select the base view command. And I'm going to go through this dialog in a little bit of detail here. To start with, we have the file we want to use. And I have several files open, so you can see we could choose from any of these files to create our base view. If it's going to be an assembly drawing or a part drawing. In this case, I'm just going to do a simple part drawing. If I did do an assembly drawing, you see I get level of detail and positional representation. But if I go back to the IPT, you see that I only get representations. We can do different colors and things like that in the part. Everything else is assembly centric. Over to the right, we have the orientation. You can see we can do top, bottom, left, right. And this is based on the orientation the part was created in. You can see that this is a US projection here. And on this particular part, I'm going to choose bottom. Next thing down is I can decide, do I want it to show the scale, what scale I want it to be, what name I want to call it. I can even come in here and modify the actual text. See here, here's what it's going to look like underneath it. I could add additional text. I could modify this text. That's fine with me. And then I could decide, do I want to show hidden lines or not show hidden lines? And then do I want to show it shaded or in living colors, I like to call it. And if this works for me, I could just drop it. But if none of these views work for me and I don't like that, what I can do is come down here and select change orientation. And it takes me to what looks like a drawing window, but it's really not. Really, this allows me to come in here and I can reset my views. For example, if I wanted to reset this current view as top, and that means I could come in here, I could say this is the front view, and I could say this is what I want. Doesn't matter, I could do some weird angle. If I chose this angle right here, see, that's what my part's going to come in. But really and truly, I want it to be front, and I changed the front to be orientated to the part correctly. I could drop this, and it would be good to go. I have a few more options to take a look at. I have model state, so if this was a weldment, I could go in and tell it what kind of welding information I want. If it had reference parts, I could decide how it was going to show those reference parts. I see this a lot with people that have a reference part in a drawing and they freak out because their parts don't show up correctly. 9 times out of 10, it's this right here. Display options. Some of this is based on, welding. You can say show model dimensions, work features. The majority of the things I choose are tangent edges, foreshorten, and interference edges. Basically what this boils down to is if you have a very rounded part, you sometimes can't see where the edge is. Remember we talked about the G2 constraints a while back, and you can't see where that edge disappears over the horizon. Well, that's fine if it's right at the outside edge, but if that's inside your part somewhere, if the top of this part had rounded edges up here, and we were looking down from the top, we wouldn't be able to see those lines right there if those were rounded. So we can turn on tangent and foreshorten edges, and that'll allow us to see more curvature type stuff. If I come over here, I could show you with the bottom of this here. I'm going to turn this off for a second. I'm going to blow this up so we can see it real good. And I'm going to turn off hidden lines. So we can see these edges fairly well. Like that edge there, we can't really see. If I turn that on, see, it kind of gives me the edge of where that curvature is and where it ends. And it allows you to see the part a little bit better. It's true even if the color is turned off. To me, it's even worse with the color turned off because there's no shading whatsoever. Really, that's what that is, a shading. And so you can see now it kind of gives you the appearance of the rounded edge and kind of lets you convey your message on a little bit more. You'll notice that if I want to edit the base view, I can just double click on it and come back into it. I cannot change the orientation or the file after the fact, but I can change pretty much everything else. Everything that I could change the first time, I can come in here and change, hit OK, and I'm done. Now, with base views, you could bring in more than one base view. I don't have to do the projected view. which we'll get into a little bit later on, I could do another base view that maybe has nothing to do with this. So I could actually do another base view of the actual part, so I could show it, without the other parts and with them. Kind of before and after, so to speak. This is before the lid's on. This is after the lid's on. Another one that you could use this for is if you were showing a folded part that was sheet metal, you could also show the base view of the flat of that part. So the base view is the initial view, of course, and then it's any other view where you want to reference the file directly. Everything else is created off of these views. So, we have projected views, auxiliary views, section views, details, overlays. They can all be created from this base view. So think of it kind of like sketching. We do our first sketched feature, and then we go back and we add another sketch feature, and we can add others. So you can do the same thing with your base view. So we can add the first base view that has this information, and then the second base view that has, Y information. So you can use that to create these. So for the follow along part, I'm going to start over again here. I'm going to go up and I'm going to say select base view, select one of the parts that we've already done, and come in here and drop it with the front view. And it's going to go ahead and let us do the projected and ISO view as we do it. And you notice my part doesn't fit on my sheet. That's fine. If I get the scale that I want, if I want a 4:1 scale, I'll turn that on so I can see it. As long as I get what I want in the scale, I can come in here and edit the sheet after the fact. So I can say, instead of doing a C size sheet, I can go all the way up to an E size sheet here. So now I can move them around on my sheet and get exactly what I want based on that. So it doesn't matter if the base view is off the sheet. If I didn't even want to have the base view, if I just wanted to have this one side view, or if I was going to have like a section view, I could technically have base views reside outside the sheet and never be printed. And we can take and drive everything else off of this base view. If I come in here and I turn off hidden lines, you'll notice that my other parts turn off hidden lines. If I turn on the shaded or colored, see it turns on colored. Now the one exception to that is the ISO view. The ISO view is the rogue. It's the bad seed. It is broken already. So you can see there's not even a check to unbreak from the original. Whereas if I come over here and look at the projected views, their information comes from the base view. So I could actually break this off of the base view if I didn't want it to pull from the base view. Same with the scale. That's pulling the scale and the style properties from the base view. So everything is based on that base view. Try to put a couple in here like this. Do your projected, hit OK, and save your view. Whenever you go to save your drawing, it will automatically save it as whatever the first part you dropped into that drawing was. I dropped in the auxiliary clutch lever in here, so that's what it's going to let me save this as. I'd hit save, and now I have the auxiliary clutch lever.idw ready to go, and I can start putting dimensions on it and create my drawing. Try this, hit save, see what you can come up with.